The 5090 has entered the chat. This model is from ASUS. It's the Tough Gaming OC Edition, featuring about a 6% overclock on the GPU speed. It also has 32 gigabytes of GDR7, which is insane. Running the latest games at 4K with all the bells and whistles turned on, we're rarely above 16 gigs. While the 5090 is on the same TSMC node as the previous generation, there have been big changes to its architecture and power delivery. This card will draw 600 watts and spike even higher. This tough model from ASUS is basically the lowest priced one they offer for a 5090 because they don't offer a Prime Edition like they do for the 5080 or the 9070 XT. I'm a bit disappointed 5090 isn't just stamped all over this thing like a Nike or Puma shoe. It's styled exactly like a 5060 Ti, which is $2,000 cheaper. Power is delivered through a single 16-pin power connector, and it does produce electrical whine. This is a big card, and it needs to be to dissipate all that heat. At the back of the card, we also have 5 display outs, including 2 HDMI 2.1Bs and 3 DisplayPorts 2.1B. Although the official ASUS webpage says that only a max of 4 displays are supported. This big card is also heavy, coming in at 2.3 kilos or about 5 pounds. A small GPU stand was included. The only models of a 5090 that are not quad or triple slot are the Founders Edition and the water-cooled variants. So if you're looking to do a small form factor build, there are way more options with the 5080, like this MSI Shadow 3X, which is also going to consume at least 200 watts less of power. But the 5090 pushes performance to a new level. If you'd like to support me or this channel's content, please help. You can become a client, I can help you directly, or you can support me through these other means. Here are the system specifications, including an upgrade to a 1200 watt power supply because the 5090 demands at least 1000, or according to the label it does. Here are the graphics that I used, both in these settings and the replay. And excluding the 5090 results, all previous results are from this video. I will refresh all results because next season we're getting quad views, or at least some kind of fixed version of this. Comparing the spec sheets between the 5080 and the 5090, it's just a massive increase. The cores have basically doubled. And the theoretical back of the napkin performance suggests so as well. But you're here for virtual reality benchmarking, so let's talk about that. I captured the performance using a Pimax Crystal Light with the data collected from OpenXR Toolkit. You can see my first impressions here, and this high pixel headset will benefit immensely from a 5090. I'm testing using a Lighthouse faceplate 90 Hz, as well as a render resolution of 0.5 or 0.75. First up is EVGA with trucks. This is representative of a single make series and some of the older tracks on iRacing. This chart is showing a distribution of CPU frame times, in this case the 9800X 3D. Notice how all the GeForce cards group up on the left for better performance, while the Radeon cards are farther to the right for worse performance. GeForce cards can leverage NVIDIA and iRacing's deployment of SPS for VR and SMP for triple screens. But Radeon cards require the CPU to deliver unique instructions for each viewport per scene. I've gone into more detail about this in previous videos. Within the frame time chart below, the 5090 is in white. While looking at that, I'll switch to the GPU frame times, and we can see that basically the card is going as fast as the CPU can go. So the 5090 cannot separate farther from its competition because of the 9800X 3D or just the latency of the iRacing engine. In the top right, I'll add in the average frame time so you can see what that performance is per card. For context, the average CPU frame time reported by OpenXR Toolkit with the NVIDIA cards is about 3.2 milliseconds. We're barely tapping into what the 5090 is capable of, so let's increase the resolution to 0.75. This resolution and iRacing graphics settings configuration is too high for the best Radeons out there. And this is just out of reach for an NVIDIA GeForce mid-range card, in this case the 3080 Ti, which is similar to a 4070 Super, but I would expect a 5070 12GB to perform better. And at this high resolution, we're able to see the 5090 separate from the group. A much more demanding testing scenario is Zandvoort multi-class with this twisty track and a whole bunch of cars. At the minimum Pimax resolution, we can see that it takes a GeForce or Radeon high-end to mid-range card to handle this. But this is a low bar for the white 5090. It appears to deliver all of its frames at 6 milliseconds or less. Once again, let's push that resolution to 0.75 in the Pimax Play software, and we can see that the 5090 separates itself even further. Even its worst frame times are delivered before a 5080's best. That's just remarkable. And now it's time for the rain torture test. This is around Portimao or the Algarve circuit with GT3s, and this track is 100% wet. SSR is disabled, so the puddles are not actively reflecting the environment around them. I think that feature's best saved for replays and capturing footage for YouTube. Only the fastest GeForce cards I have are able to deliver on-time performance at this low resolution. Once again, the 5090 is just unfazed from this computational demand. And when we increase the resolution to medium quality in the Pimax software, the 5090 is the only card able to deliver 100% on-time performance. It has so much headroom available to it, I thought, you know what? What happens if we go to 100% resolution? Highlighted in yellow is the full resolution from Pimax with no FFR, no cropping, no upscaling, no nothing. This is the full fat resolution of 4312 by 5102 per eye. And the 5090 is almost able to pull it off. And if you're thinking, wait, what a minute, it looks on time to me, what are you talking about? Well, if I switch to the average FPS bar that also shows the on-time delivery, we can see that we're at under 90 FPS, but the GPU frame times are all recorded as on time. What does this mean? I'm not entirely sure. I want to validate this with other rendering techniques like SteamVR. However, iRacing is going to get that update in days, this week. So I've just run out of time. I can tell you that in the headset, there were some hiccups and stutters. Performance is just too close to that 11.1 millisecond line, and any late frames are visible inside the headset. But I'll be looking at this again next week after the update, maybe even after the first hotfix. But there is no doubt that the 5090 is in a class of its own. And I think it's something that only those with high-end VR headsets or triple 4K resolution monitor configurations should even consider. And for those that saw my recent ACC video where I did some open composite benchmarking along with SteamVR, here are the 5090 results. First are the SteamVR results, which I've been corrected are actually OpenVR, not OpenXR results. The ASUS 5090 is in white and crushes this. And when we switch to Open Composite and do a cropping using a customized OpenXR toolkit, frame times only somewhat improved because we were already within the 5090's capabilities. So that's all I got for now. Make sure to follow the channel if you haven't already, because the next thing I'm tackling is LMU in VR.